GM, I'm on time for once.
We got some monkey business in the room.
What
All
up?
right. Okay, let's go and kick things off. Bit of a quiet week around the old Futureverse Root Network ecosystem. Not much going on. Just another
Nah,
day in the office.
had a nice nap the other day, so it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, my calendar's pretty lean. Who are we kidding here, guys? The Root token, the official governance token, the native token of the Root Network, it's live on centralized exchanges. This is massive. This is massive for opening this all up to be able to build on this network. But in case you don't know where you are, you're at 30 Minutes Max. This is the place you come once a week to join us. And you don't come to 30 Minutes Max channel and leave questions asking how we are and give us praise. No, that's not what happens. That channel is
It
purely
would be
for
nice,
making
though.
just one. Just every now and then, just drop one in. No, we don't have to enter it in the questions, but that's not why we're here. We're here to make sure that we can answer any questions, any concerns that you might have about the direction of where we're going, how we're operating as a company. And to introduce myself, I'm Scott, also known as MoMeta. Monkey Business is up here with me. That's Alex, the VP of Community. I should say VIP, pretty much.
That works too.
You can compare what as
Nice.
an example.
And I also just want to, I guess, preemptively address the fact that as much as it might be something that you guys want to talk about, we really can't discuss any specifics around the token price or anything like that. We can talk more broadly around the token, but considering our situation and the kind of level of scrutiny, regulatory, all of that sort of stuff, we can't get into actual price discussion about the token at all.
Well, on that note, Alex, should we jump into it? There's been a lot of backwards and forwards in the community over the last week regarding various elements about the way we're operated and stuff. Do you want to give us a bit of a run through about your thoughts and what you've picked up on?
Yeah. I think it's appropriate that I kind of bring this all to light because I have both seen and received word through various different back channels of in private groups of allegations being thrown around against us of somehow we're orchestrating cover-ups or intentionally misleading the community or some other nonsense. And honestly, I'm here to put these to bed once and for all. If you have any allegations against us, come out and say them publicly. We have nothing to hide. We operate very transparently, and we always conduct investigations whenever such allegations are raised against us. If there's any truth to them, and there haven't been to date, we will take necessary disciplinary action to hold those responsible to account. But if you're coming after us, you better bring receipts because we won't stand for baseless allegations against us. And if you continue making such allegations with no proof, then that's a surefire way to get yourself removed from this community. And I can go into some specifics here. Like, I woke up yesterday morning to some rumors around insider trading, price manipulation about myself. I have stated publicly that the entire Futureverse team is currently blocked from buying, selling, or trading Root, or even advising kind of personal contacts around buying, selling, or trading Root. If you, and that's in place for some time, if you think someone on our team is insider trading, we got a hot mic in here. Where is that coming from? The dice. Who are you? Sorry, I'm just going to have to mute you. There we go. What was I saying? Yeah, if you genuinely believe that you've found evidence that someone in our team is insider trading, please bring this to me, and we will conduct a thorough, both internal and an external investigation if required, using third parties. Some people have pointed out that one of my wallets purchased some Root from the Uniswap pool just before the token launch, went live on centralized exchanges, and this is correct. That's nothing I'm hiding. I actually did buy a couple hundred ERC20 Root off the Uniswap pool for what I believe is actually the highest price anyone paid for Root on the market, because there were some reported issues with KuCoin deposits that had been raised with our community, and we'd been working with the KuCoin team to identify the issue here, and they had supposedly resolved the issue, but no one had any ERC20 Root on hand. So I went and purchased what was about $10, currently about $10 worth of ERC20 root off the Uniswap pool, spent about $80 on that, and used that explicitly to test the KuCoin deposit function to ensure that that was all functioning properly, and that we weren't risking the loss of any community funds. So once again, if anyone has serious allegations around any of this sort of stuff, there is no sense in just talking about it in back channels, because it's all that's going to do is just spread rumors. It's not going to resolve the issue. And if you actually want them to be addressed, come out and say it publicly. Finally, there were also some people that raised alarm bells around us moving funds off the validator nodes before the end of the last cycle. This was actually done specifically so that our validator nodes wouldn't receive rewards, and those rewards would be instead shared with the community. So what some people were accusing us of as kind of background dodgy manipulation was actually us ensuring that you guys got paid more rewards. So really just want to put all of this to bed right now. If anyone's trying to accuse us of something, you're welcome to come after us, but you better bring receipts.
I think it's really important just to reiterate what you said there, buddy. It's, well, number one, the Futureverse team, and I can testify to this, under contract, we cannot buy, sell, or trade root at this time. Next, you bought the top, mate, and sold the bottom. It's like you're got my trading textbook going there, buddy, because, yeah, what happened with the Uniswap and being able to test that bridge was so important at the time to make sure that functionality was live, and that's all that happened there. And regarding that that final cycle, you know, knowing that the rewards are not going to our validators but back to the community is the last drop. Absolutely, so important, and such a benefit to the community who are staked at the moment or who were staked at the time. So, all right, that was a lot. That was a lot. Let's bring just some general basic questions into the mix here, and we'll get things moving forward again.
Sure thing.
Will TRN validators operate publicly and be identified as they are on XRPL?
That's entirely up to the validators themselves, whether they choose to publicly identify themselves.
True story. Why have the first public validators been selected from professional companies instead of offering the community the equal opportunity?
So we are working with a close group of our trusted partners who are professionals at running validated nodes for this first batch. I think it's about 4 of them. From that, as we're now in closed beta, we will be opening up a submission form in the coming weeks for anyone from the community or the wider industry as a whole to apply to join the closed beta as a validator for the next round, which will be, I think, probably in January next year. So the community do very much have an opportunity to come along and participate within this closed beta of validator running validated nodes. But it's important that we are working with people that are trusted and know how to run nodes properly before we open it up too wide.
Absolutely. All right, the next one, staying with the validator nodes. What would I need to run a root network validator? I heard 25K root, or are wallets with 25K root prioritized?
Yeah, so you'll need, the minimum stake is currently set at 25,000 root. Although this is a dynamic number and it might change in the future. There's also a requirement in terms of appropriate hardware, and that could be either locally based or cloud-based. But we're currently going through this sort of manual process around validators for this closed beta, and when we get towards open beta, we'll publish more information around the specifics of running a validator node.
Perfect. Now, this next question is pretty close to my heart because, as many of you know, I've been something of a leaky XRP faucet since the beginning of this journey. Can we please have one more XRP airdrop?
No, sorry. I think we've given enough free stuff out on that front. But I can tell you that we are very close to launching the updated XRP bridge. I know the current bridge is a bit of a clunky process and takes a while, but the team have been hard at work at really kind of improving the integrations with XRPL, making bridging of XRP a lot easier. And we also have a Root Network DEX launching soon, which means that if you have any token on the Root Network, you can just exchange that for some XRP if you need.
Yeah, that's massive functionality that I'm looking forward to. We need that. We need that bad, and that's coming. All right, the next question. What was the goal behind the statement regarding distribution of Quest 2 rewards taking several weeks? When SEX launched Centralized Exchange, for everyone who doesn't understand what SEX means, the launch was directly after Quest 2 ended.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the reward calculations for Quest 2, sorry, we got a hot mic. Floating coconut. Margin Poter, we got you. There we go. The reward calculations for Quest 2 are incredibly complex, and we want to ensure that we get it right. There have been some issues with the Quest reward calculations in the past, which have just put a lot of work on us afterwards, especially for the support team, to get that sorted. So that's something that we are working through to make sure we get it right from the start. And I mean, we've clearly also had a lot of work on our hands over these past few weeks with the token launch. So we just want to manage expectations on when the community would expect the tokens for Quest 2 to be distributed.
Sounds fair to me. And this next question, as part of the marketing, cuts deep, but I won't go into that. Why was the bridging allowed if it was not intended to be allowed for everyone? For this, guys, this is the ERC20 root token bridge. Alex?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll touch on this in more detail in a bit, because I know there's some other questions around it that come, and a lot of these I think have all come from FN0. We genuinely did not expect the community to front run price discovery on centralized exchanges. It wasn't something that I actively discouraged when it was raised, but it was not something that we were expecting the community to do, and it did then cause a lot of issues for us, which we'll touch on a little bit later, which meant that we had to shut that bridge down.
Yes, we did. Okay. Can you speak to what happened with the Vortex tokens earned prior to the fix around 9th of 11th, as it feels like it was not a display issue and those rewards have been lost?
No, I've said this multiple times. There were no issues from any of the Vortex calculations out at all in the back end. It was purely the dashboard and the way that they were being displayed.
Fair play. All right, bit of a change in tact here. Will 2% supply of Asto for AFA All-Stars still be distributed before gameplay?
Yeah, nothing's changed in our plans on that front.
Yep, that's an easy one. Why do we see more information regarding tokenomics from Gate.io than from the Futureverse team itself?
Because they made some very strange assumptions on outdated information that they had on hand. We're not in charge of their comms, and we corrected them as soon as we saw that they had miscommunicated. But I also want to point out that there are a few people in the community that seem to take this as an opportunity to FUD their own bags rather than, bringing it to us and letting us respond. So probably not the best approach moving forward.
Yeah, bring it to us, guys. Don't go straight to social channels, shouting it from the rooftops. Let us answer these questions. We are the source of truth. And that's why we have 30 minutes max. And that channel is there for your questions. For anybody new to the space, in our Discord, if you're listening to this on a replay, there is a channel, 30 minutes max, where you drop those questions in. And obviously, the better you write them, the better I will read them. As distribution for the 20% community rewards still planned to be completed by the end of 2025, as explained previously? Or did that change with the mechanism to find this out through Gate.io token listing post? Oh, that's a bit of a...
Yeah, that
That's
as I said, yeah, Gate got the information wrong. The timeline that I've always stated is correct.
moving right along. Can any information be shared about the validity of the 50-week sends burn to mine timeline that KuCoin posted, now redacted? And if not, when can this be shared?
I'm pretty sure that was Gate as well, not KuCoin. But we put out an announcement earlier this week saying that we will announce the full mechanics for the sends to root burn to mine by the end of this year, and that will launch in Q1 next year. But we won't be saying any more about it until those official announcements.
All right. What's with the Telegram group? They claim to be the official Futureverse group, but their giveaway requires a BEP20 wallet. Does this hint at a Binance partnership? Ooh.
Oh, I mean, there's been a lot of news around Binance in the last couple of days. I mean, that, as I touched on before, that group is run by a partner of ours who has been brought in to help specifically increase exposure around the root token listing. So it's nothing is official unless it's coming directly from our channels. No comment on anything relating to Binance.
I'm going to change the order of questioning just to hear for one moment, Alex, because I just need a little bit of a reprieve from before I go into the next lot. Because I know you also know what's coming.
Yeah.
Will Party Bear's feet be able to reach the pedals in the ATOM cars?
Of course, it's the metaverse. Everything's interoperable.
Thanks, mate. All right. Now I am going into a wave of questions, and we love all questions coming in. These ones are from F and Zero, and are you sure you want to take these?
Yeah, I mean, look, I imagine most companies would probably just ignore questions like this. And, generally you'll see a lot of AMAs in that where the people speaking specifically choose the ones they want to answer and just ignore those that are either very poorly worded or very pointed. But look, I'm happy to answer these, but I may be pretty blunt and frank with my answers. But feel free to paraphrase them a bit. I don't think we need to bring that level of kind of direct negativity into this voice chat. If people want to read them in the way that they've been written, they can jump into that channel.
Yeah, I'm going to do exactly that, mate, because it's not really healthy for anyone in here. So if you do want to read these questions in their entirety, go over to the 30 Minutes Max channel and read them for yourselves. I'm going to paraphrase. All right. So there have been some concerns about community not being put first.
Yeah, I mean, community have been put first. You're the first to receive root tokens before anyone else. There was no, and I see there's some questions there about pre-sale price for exchange users. There was no pre-sale, and the market dictates the price. Considering the community front ran price discovery, and we couldn't keep the bridge open for early deposits anyway, but that doesn't even align with what you're saying, because anyone could buy from an exchange without having to bridge root tokens over. You're only needing to bridge root tokens over if you want to sell. So the question and the kind of narrative behind that is kind of counter to what you're actually saying. It's very confusing and doesn't really make any sense, but whatever.
Yeah, and that just brings us to paraphrasing the next question, which is about the bridge.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so kind of touched on briefly. Look, we really didn't expect that the community would front run price discovery and set up a liquidity pairing pair on Uniswap. Maybe that was naive of us and an oversight, but we decided to stop the bridge because of that Uniswap pair. And that price discovery caused issues for us and raised a lot of alarm bells with the market makers and exchanges that we were working with. I'll acknowledge that I didn't discourage it when it was raised. It's a blockchain; people can do what they want. But we had to step in at a certain point and stop it. And I did say before it was launched that you'd be pretty crazy to try and front run price discovery. I guess at a higher level, we really can't talk about price and specifics, but if people want to understand our mindset from a hypothetical perspective, look at the DEX chart and then look at the KuCoin chart, for example, and tell me which one would look more attractive to outsiders looking at the project for the first time.
Yeah, from a marketing point of view, and not step on any regulatory toes, I would have liked to have started with a big green candle than a big red one. That's just me personally. But we live and learn as a community as well. We're all learning, we're all on this journey, and I think we've all learned something there too.
Yeah.
All right. More fun. Okay, here we go. And there's a whole bunch of fun, really, about comms and also the bridge not going live at the same time as the KuCoin listing.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of someone using very poor comms to complain about poor comms or perceived poor comms is not lost on me. Honestly, guys, if you want to be taken seriously, then please communicate seriously, especially when you're criticizing someone else's communication. On the point of the bridge not being live at the moment of KuCoin listing, the bridge itself was live at 9 p.m. as promised on the smart contract level. The issue was with the front end and the Futureverse dashboard. We use a third-party system which we have in place to deploy real-time feature updates to our services, such as Futureverse dashboard. Unfortunately, despite the prior testing that we had done on this, it didn't function as expected. So we actually had to go in and manually redeploy the Futureverse dashboard front end in order to take that functionality live, which took approximately 10 minutes.
Yep.
The nature of tech, you know, we always test and try and make sure that everything works as smoothly as possible, but sometimes you actually need to get in and do things manually.
And we were all in a war room at this time, making sure everything went as smooth as possible and get everything up and running when there were issues. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alex, I think you're quite funny. You know, some might think you're a bit of a fun sponge at times. I know. But
it's a delicate line to walk, man.
Right. There have been some complaints around a joke that was made. Apparently, we've said we are a company now. Nothing to do is your business. What was the joke, mate? What went on there?
So the joke was someone posted a GIF of someone jumping over one of those drawbridges as it raised up, and I was just like, it's the people trying to, the last people using our bridge before we closed it. I thought it was hilarious. Some people don't seem to be able to take a joke. But honestly, this is an incredibly taxing job. It's not a job that I imagine many people would want to take on, to be the conduit between a very fast-moving company and an incredibly passionate, maybe sometimes too passionate community. And look, if I can't have fun while I'm having this job, then I'm not going to do it for much longer. It's part and parcel of the process, and like it's important that when things are serious, we communicate seriously, but I'm going to have fun along the way as well. And honestly, if I was to step away from this job, whoever came in to replace me would probably not even have touched any of these questions. The other part around we are a company and nothing we do is your business, I mean, I never said that. I don't know where you're getting this from. And honestly, this sort of hyperbole is just self-destructive, and I'm not going to bother answering questions like this if you can't actually phrase them properly.
Yeah, it's just not externally either, guys. Alex, what he has to do internally with us as well, he's the conduit for us too, keeping all these different teams communicating and working smoothly. I won't say he's the punching bag on both sides, but a lot of the time he does have to be the oil in the machine. So we respect him for that.
Just quickly, like I get that NFT Bro has just raised a point in general that English is a second language. I get that. I appreciate that. But you can still phrase your questions in a constructive manner without it being your first language. These are very negatively charged questions. It's regardless of whether it's your first language or not, it is very easy to kind of put them in that context. So I appreciate the point that you're making, but I don't agree with it.
And everyone is welcome to go and read the questions for themselves, of course, because
Yeah.
this one is paraphrased too, just to keep things a little lighter.
Yeah.
Now, there's been some comments around the circulating supply. Can you add any clarity there?
Yeah, so the team put a temporary number into the initial applications while we're working to confirm the final numbers. We jumped in and confirmed those within the community. Some of the third-party stuff like coin market cap will take some time to reflect that, though, because we're working with them to actually set up the proper real-time dynamic circulating supply reporting, because essentially that we don't want to have to manually self-report circulating supply. We want to have it set up so they can automatically read what the overall circulating supply is based on the distribution as per the various pools in the white paper. And look, I guess I know this has been a very interesting series of questions, and I get that you guys all hold us to a very high standard, and we really do our best to live up to those expectations. But quite frankly, we are moving at breakneck speed, and there'll always be hiccups along the way. If someone can point out to me another company that's working as quickly as us across as many different product launches and fields and different industries, and also managing to deliver everything perfectly, while simultaneously openly communicating as kind of transparently as we are, please point them to me. I would love to kind of look for other cases that we can learn from, but we are always looking to learn. We're always looking to improve, but sometimes we're going to make mistakes. It's part and parcel of the landscape. Oh, I just got a DM. Actually, maybe we'll touch on this a bit. I think there's a question coming to it. Sorry, we'll go back to that.
Oh, that sounds exciting. That's not on my run sheet. I'm looking forward to that, whatever that is. Anyway, we're moving off from that topic a little bit. We're going to digress into, does the power trait on the Atom NFTs have ongoing utility in the future? Is this trait tied to cars or the garage?
So there will be utility tied to this trade in the roadmap, but we can't discuss the exact utility at this time.
All right. Is the office purchased in Japan, in Tokyo, or in? Can you say that word, Alex? Kansai? Kansai? Is that a place?
Kansai. Yeah, I think it's a region. So I touched on, and I think Aaron did as well in one of the AMAs recently, that we are expanding with some new kind of offices in new regions and partners. And this was related to Futureverse Japan, which is just being set up, and we've got a few representatives over there now. It's currently based in Tokyo, but it's still early days, and we'll see how that evolves. That said, if anyone has any really interesting partners or things that our Japan or wider Asian Futureverse team should be aware of, feel free to fire them through, and I'll pass them on to the team there.
And I can confirm that our Sydney office is just a company laptop in my bug-out bunker. And yeah, that's how I roll. Okay. AI question. Okay. All right. It seems that access to compute power will in part determine winners and losers in the AI space. Can you provide more details about the Futureverse, Alibaba Cloud partnership?
So I mean, you're right. Access to high levels of compute is critical in the race for in the AI race. And between our partnerships with both Alibaba Cloud and NVIDIA, including our acquisition of a DGX H100, this has put us in a really strong position. As some people kind of, when the Alibaba announcement was first put out, some people thought we're just simply using their services, but that's not what we mean when we say partnership. We have kind of active ongoing plans and comms in place around cross promotion, early access to their services. We're listed on some of their sites now as one of their partners around AI, and they will help point us to customers who are interested in using our services. So it does go a lot deeper in that sense. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the specifics around compute, having access to Alibaba Cloud really does do wonders for our ability to scale when it comes to scaling up our AI and large language model type training.
Truly supporting exponential growth with that one. Okay. Here we go. Can we get some clarity on Vortex? How do we unwind? What does the process look like? Do we get to choose which tokens we want, or is it proportionate value based on what is in the pool?
So it is a proportionate value based on what's in the pool. So Vortex itself is essentially represents the pro rata split of the tokens in the pool at that period. There is more information around Vortex and how it works in the tokenomics page of the Root Network documentation. And what I got excited about slightly before about a DM was that Vortex tokens are being distributed as we speak. Will be some official comms coming out on that shortly, and more information to come to follow that regarding how we launch unwinding, which I believe that process is starting next week. And also just on that, I think it was asked previously in the last 30 minutes max, but I might as well reiterate it here. Vortex itself could be, it's possible if people want to set up Vortex on decentralized exchanges, trade it like they would any other token, and even potentially utilize it in the any gas economy as long as it's appearing against XRP on decentralized exchanges on the Root network, then that can be used as gas.
Very exciting. That is some great news. A lot of people will be happy about that. Now, some of you might have noticed a little leak come out about a racing game, and you are not mistaken in noticing that it does have two very poignant letters in there, being A and I in the spelling. So let's get into this question. Will the rating system for AI races be different than the AI League? Do you have to grind, or will it be competitive?
I would love to give you more information on how Raicers will work, but I can't front run the product announcements on that. We will release more information on Raicers game mechanics in due course.
And for anyone out there who's looking to phrase questions in the future, that's how you phrase a when question without starting it with when. Beautifully done. Love the approach. All right. Any plans for UI on staking dashboard to show Vortex totals and your share as the cycle finishes, like a snapshot of each quarter and what there was after the 90 days?
Yeah, so the team are currently working on the next stage of UI updates for the staking dashboard, both to address this point and also address the points raised earlier in the week regarding some of the confusion around unstaking, unbonding, and withdrawing. I really appreciate the feedback that we received from the community on that, and it's really important that we, get that sort of feedback because it helps us identify when things are confusing and the user experience is a bit clunky. So that is something that we're actively working on.
Yep, 100%. Oh, 100% to 1%. Will any of the 1% of tokens for fungible assets also end up in the hands of stakers/validators, or is this exclusively to validators? I'm not sure about this question.
I'm guessing stakers/validators, they mean stakers/nominators. Honestly, I'm not 100% across this. I can check back with the team and revert back with an answer, maybe for next week, 30 minutes max, or in the channel directly.
Perfect. Now, next question is, how many market makers are there and who are they?
We work with some of the largest and most established market makers in the game, but we're not going to get into specifics of who and how many. On this note as well, I think it's important to highlight there's been a lot of confusion and misinformation around market makers and the role that they play and some people's perception that they're dumping on the market. I was actually going to prepare a statement in relation to this, but I actually saw Navi posted something really great. So I might actually just go over and read what he wrote now, because it really kind of provides a lot of insight into the critical role that market makers play when it comes to launching and maintaining a stable token market. So I'll read direct from his statement, which is, market makers play a critical role in creating liquidity and stability in the markets for a token like Root from the Root network. By providing tokens to exchanges, Futureverse enables these market makers to buy and sell Root at posted prices consistently. Here's why this is beneficial. Liquidity. Market makers ensure that there is always a buyer and a seller for Root, facilitating transactions for other investors and users. This means that when an individual wants to buy or sell Root tokens, they can do so without a significant wait and without causing a large impact on the price. Reduce volatility. With market makers, the price of Root is less likely to experience wild swings because the market makers can absorb larger trades without significantly moving the price. Price discovery. Market makers help establish a fair market price for Root. By balancing the buy and sell orders, the market maker helps reflect the true supply and demand in the token price. Confidence. When investors see that there is consistent trading activity and liquidity for Root, it builds confidence in the health of the market for the token. Efficient markets. A liquid market is a prerequisite for an efficient market. Market makers contribute to this by ensuring that the spread, the difference between the buy and sell price is tighter, which reduces the cost for all market participants. The concern that market makers are selling tokens to keep the price artificially low is a common misconception. In reality, market makers are not incentivized to manipulate the market. They profit from the spread between the buy and sell orders, not from directional price movements. Market makers add to the overall health of the market by providing liquidity, which could, in the long term, support the price of Root rather than suppress it. Their operation based on thin margins requires a stable and predictable market environment, which aligns their interests with those of the broader Futureverse ecosystem. So, very well worded, Navi. Really appreciate that messaging that you put out there. And yeah, if anyone still has any confusion, I'm happy to help clarify further. Otherwise, Navi is really championing that for us.
I love it. I love it when the community adds so much value regarding knowledge in respect to this. I wrote down those 5 key points just then that were brought up: liquidity, volatility, discovery, efficiency, and confidity. That's confidence. but just in line with everything else. New word, guys. You can use it.
Validity.
Yeah, confidity. You got it.
Falsity.
Oh, let's get some positivity back in here, guys. What an amazing time to be in this space. Seriously. So good. All right. Here we go. All right.
I think we got a couple more preloaded ones here, and maybe we can open it up after that.
Yeah, we've just got a couple more. Really, we can't get into these couple more too deeply. So if you do have questions, now's the time. Prepare yourself to jump up and share those with us. Is the music used in Gen licensed, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of our entire ethos for Gen, is to properly credit artists. I mean, Gen itself is a separate joint venture, so I can't really speak too much on behalf of that. And there will be more information to follow. Oh, mosquito, got it. But yeah, it's part of the whole ethos of Gen is to adequately credit artists, make sure that the training data is, you know, those that are providing the original training data are being properly compensated in that as well.
Great. And the last question I have here is, where does the any token gas mechanic sit relative to the other development priorities?
My understanding is this is almost live, and then essentially down to anyone building on the Root network for them to implement the gas token functionality that they want to use. But we'll put some key updates out on this over the next few weeks, I'm sure.
Perfect. All right, lovely people. It's time to start coming to the stage and delivering your questions. Do we have anyone today?
Can I ask one?
Oh, please join us.
Thanks, Alex. Alex, awesome AMA today. Can you share any info around? I know you're not directly probably working with it, but like bringing on builders and partners such as Mark and Moai and these different partners. Like, kind of what's the process? Like, do certain kind of partners have any kind of edge or priority in any way, or what does the team look for as they are selecting these different developers to build on the Root network?
So the kind of first stage of partners that you will have seen, people like Halo Labs who built Mark, are ones that are, more closely affiliated to us. It's kind of part of the natural growth of any ecosystem is, the first ones to start building alongside are those who are already pretty closely related. But then if you start looking at some of the other ones like Moai coming in, I believe that was actually a connection that came through one of our regional partners that we started working with. So you will have seen like the announcement around Catalyze Research and who we're working with over there in Korea. They've been helping facilitate a lot of new partnership opportunities for us. And I believe Moai came through that channel. So they weren't someone that was actually directly related to us at all, but they saw what we were doing, reached out and said, hey, we'd love to build on the Root network. And so we said, sure, speak to our business development team for the Root network, and we'll take it from there. As always, if anyone's interested in building, we have open partnership submission forms on the websites. I can drop a exclamation mark oh man, I can't spell this morning. Partnership. There we go. Boom. That form there, if anyone's interested in partnering, that's how you can submit info through those 3 different channels.
Thank you, sir.
Great question. Thank you. Now, apparently we had Marco in the feed the other day joining us in voice chat. Everyone enjoyed that. Just pretend he's here now. Come on up, casually ask some questions. Feel free. This is your opportunity. Anybody else?
I want to ask something. Yeah, I want to ask something. So I did a post recently about Jen, and it like caused some conversation in a chat I was in. And it was about the Party Bears. Like when you guys first pitched the Party Bears, it was like these will do music. Like if you go on the OpenSea description, it still talks about it. So like I'm just wondering if you can give any clarity around like if there's still plans to make the Party Bears interact some way with the music, like maybe even specifically Jen.
I can't elaborate on that further at this stage. Sorry, but that was part of the Party Bears identity is that they can be the party starters for the metaverse, and we will continue developing utility accordingly.
Nice, all good. Appreciate it.
To your point, Mo, just before about Marco, it was actually really great to have Marco in here the other night for the token launch. He's someone who is very much behind the scenes a lot of the time. And it was really great to have him come in, and he's quite shy at times when it comes to talking. He's not someone who has a lot of experience on media training or anything like that, but he is genuinely such a lovely person, and he speaks with such authenticity that people can't help but be captivated when he talks, and especially when he starts going off on tangents about the random crazy projects he's worked on at times for various secret service agencies or whatever. I'm putting words in his mouth now. But just a reminder, in case anyone hasn't seen, the next episode for Futureverse TV, which is The Tech, is going out next Tuesday, New Zealand, Monday, US. And it will be the first one featuring Marco as he starts to deep dive into all of our tech stack. This one will be probably a bit less techy than some of the future ones will, because it's a kind of first stage overview of how all of the tech comes together. But then over time, we'll start to do far more technical ones that dig deeper and deeper into certain parts of the overall sort of Futureverse operating system.
Yeah, he's really endearing when you listen to him speak. I mean, I'm not going to call the CTO and co-founder cute, but it is lovely to hear his stories and his journey, and we're so lucky to have him, 100%. So, all right, we've still got some time, guys. I know it's well past 30 minutes now, but anybody else got a question? There's so much going on at the moment. I can't believe you don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Atari here.
Hey, bro.
Hey, what's up, bro? What me, brother? Just have to get one of those in there for Schiller.
Hey.
First of all, I just want to say I very much appreciate you guys, like this project, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke. It's literally given me a new passion for life. So I just want to commend both of you guys and the whole team. I do appreciate you guys. Not everybody's funny, first of all.
Thanks, mate.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And look, I know it can come across that way at times because I guess it's the nature of things, you know, the negative feedback and it often gets amplified much more than the positivity. And it's something that I think, you know, just speaking honestly and from the heart here, like part of the reason why I am in this position is because I genuinely care. I'm a very naturally empathetic person. And I do genuinely care what people think, and I really want to make sure that everyone is happy. But that can also be a negative in the sense that this industry as a whole is filled with a lot of, you know, degens and people that have very pointed self-interests. And I've had to, I guess, learn how to ignore or minimize that side of things while simultaneously amplifying the positivity. So yeah, just wanted to kind of address that and just say that I do appreciate, you know, you and many others in this community who, you know, have been with us for so long, continue to support us, and, you know, keep singing our praises while there are others that, you know, take a more negative tone. So please don't feel like that goes unnoticed. And yeah, really appreciate it.
For sure, bro. Appreciate you sharing authentically there. So I might as well, since I came up and this is 30 minutes max, I'll ask a couple questions. One, you know, I got to know how many times did you plunge this week, and do you know the temperature? It's the first question.
Every morning. I've done it every morning this week. It has been a very high stress week, and I find ice baths are probably the best thing I've ever done for just a emotional and nervous system reset. As I just touched on, you know, it can be a very emotionally charged space at times, and it can be hard for me to, you know, let go of the kind of negative or pointed statements that are, even if it's not against me, you know, against the company as a whole, because my role is to be that intermediary and to often act as the kind of, I guess, the shield for the company from the community. So yeah, every day this week, about 2.5 minutes normally. And I don't know the exact temperature, but I like it with a lot of ice. Like there's normally like proper big chunks of ice on the surface, so it's got to be like 0 degrees.
Dude, yeah, I'm addicted to it too. Metablocks was roasting me about it, but that's okay. That's just because he can't get. So yeah, it doesn't. That's the only thing that can shake me out of like my anxiety or my whatever I have going on doing that. Besides the other benefits, the other question is just so other people realize, like, and I know you've shared this before. What other things do you do when you're, you know, because like everybody gets so hyper focused in this space. Like, I try to share in wellness, but what other things do you do besides the ice bath to really just like get back to gratitude and like just realize that life is much bigger than, you know, this bubble? I'm very passionate about it too. And I have one more quick question, business related after that.
Yeah, so I think that it's important to remember that, you know, pretty much everyone in the space is really hyper emotional invested. It's natural, I guess, considering just the journey that we're all on together and the financial component to it as well. And things can get very charged at times. People can get very reactive and defensive. I'm guilty of that as well. You know, I'm certainly not perfect. I actually find often the best thing to do is just to actually step away for a bit. And no message is that crucial that you can't step away for a minute or two and just process your response before responding. And I feel like sometimes, you know, people fire too much from the hip or go with a gut reaction, which often just exacerbates the situation rather than trying to find a kind of peaceful or amicable resolution. I'm very lucky that at my property I have you know, a nice bit of land here, so I will often go out even on my lunch break or something and go work around the property, mow the lawns, you know, literally touch grass, because I find that getting away from my computer screen and actually getting out into nature a little bit, getting my hands dirty, that to me is not only very therapeutic, but it gives me time to work through my emotions, my thoughts, etc., to be able to come back from in a far more constructive space, to communicate more effectively.
We still got you there. I believe your mic was cutting out a little bit as you were asking that question. You had one more serious
Yes.
business question.
Well, it's not serious.
Good.
By the way, thanks, Alex. And yeah, I try to post in wellness. I'll post some of the stuff that I do on a regular basis because I'm also hyper emotional and all that good stuff. Uh, last thing I wanted to ask is, have you played the Gods and Goblins game? Are you a gamer? And yeah, have you actually played the game, or have you just seen like test footage?
I am a gamer through and through. I've always been the nerd in the family. You know, I've gamed since I was young. Some of the classics I played growing up were obviously like World of Warcraft, the original Final Fantasy VII, but and more recently, you know, have played a few epic games like Horizon Forbidden West, you know, Last of Us 2, etc. I haven't played the new Gods and Goblins game yet, but I have seen a lot of the early test footage. It does look really fun. I love the overall mechanics and how it's structured, and I can't wait to see what it looks like once they finish with these final polishes and start opening it up for some community beta testing.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, I took up enough time. Thank you both so much. Again, much gratitude. Appreciate both of you and the team.
I appreciate you too, and thanks for the questions.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching all the test plays of the Gods and Goblins. I know you guys are all going to really enjoy it, but good things take time, so let's all remain patient. There's plenty coming out. You don't have to worry. Now, I do have a hard stop in about 5 minutes because I got to jump into another meeting. What do you reckon, Alex? We got time for one more question, if there is one.
Yep. Yeah, I can do one more.
I have one if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to ask, what things do you foresee in the tokenomics of the ecosystem coming up that could create like a bigger circulating supply so that more people can have root?
So I think the main ones that are immediate is really just around community rewards and ongoing future score quests. As we start to roll more and more of those out, that will be a key driver for increased circulating supply. There's obviously also the sends burn to mine mechanics, which we've said will announce by the end of the year and launch in Q1 next year. Those I'd say are probably the two most immediate ones.
Thank you.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you to everybody who came today. I mean, Alex, you can hang on if you stay around if you have time. I don't know. Do you?
Nah, yeah, you know what my meeting schedule's like.
I know. We know each other's calendars.
Yeah.
I literally have to jump. I just want to thank everybody for coming in and to remind each other to support each other out there, especially on the socials too. We all know that Crypto Eddie is a good friend of mine. I saw a post that she put out today where she simply stated that she is staking her root on the Root network. and left a few details about it. And her comments were full of people saying, is this a scam? Are you just shilling? And she's gone through and replied to all of those posts and stood up for us and had our back and said, no, this is a legitimate company and this is something you should pay more attention to. So in that, go through each other's comments, support each other, back each other up where you can, and make sure we get the correct information out there whenever possible, as we're trying to do with you right now in 30 minutes max, which never seems to last 30 minutes anymore. But I think that's a good thing too. Any last words, Alex?
Yeah, I think just to expand on that, there's been a lot of great content and messages, posts from the community, really helping to support and educate newcomers as they start to see more and more eyes on this. So really appreciative to all of the people helping drive the charge on that front, and keep up the great work.
Thanks, everybody. All right, bunnies up. Till next time, guys. Thank you very much.